Hi, I'm Rachel Lewandowski, one of the family law attorneys with the Marchese Law Firm. We're going to be talking today about a mother's guide to the divorce process and things that you can see during, before, and after as you go through this process. I think that the divorce process is always going to be different for everybody, just depending on the circumstances that they're facing in their particular case. So there are a lot of options that you can look into. First and foremost is that you are entitled to use marital assets to pursue a divorce, whether that's in the terms of joint money in your bank accounts or using a credit card that you guys share or you have on your own, and we can always try to seek reimbursement. It's never guaranteed, but of course we will always ask that attorney's fees be equalized amongst the parties when discussing settlement. Additional options are borrowing money from family or a friend, or using somebody else's credit card if you have that available to you, if marital assets are not something that you have access to. A lot of stay-at-home moms are fearful sometimes when it comes to the divorce process, because if they haven't worked in a while, they have a lot of questions. What am I going to do? How am I going to be able to move forward with this process and with my life and continue to support my children? There's a lot of factors that go into deciding what spousal support and child support is going to look like moving forward. Primarily, they would take the income of both parties and assess that along with the age of the person inquiring to receive the benefits, their educational level, what your parenting time schedule looks like, and then the length of your marriage. And all of those get put into a prognostication system that will come back with what those support numbers should be. And from there, we can negotiate and see if there's any special circumstances that would cause the spousal support to increase or decrease. Typically, when you're talking about spousal support, it's about a third of the marriage is the length of time that would be awarded, unless there was any circumstances, again, that would make that increase or decrease. When you're going through the process, of course, there are a lot of divorces that aren't very amicable, and people will make what I would call empty threats to say that I'm just going to take your kids and I'm going to get full custody, unless your spouse or the father of your children is, the most horrible person in the entire world. And although sometimes you may be feeling that way, overall, that's probably not the case. Most of the time, you're going to get joint legal custody, and you guys will come up with a parenting time schedule. And then in terms of custody, if it's highly disputed and you guys can't reach an agreement as to custody and parenting time, the court would evaluate what we call the best interest factors. And those are the 12 factors that the state of Michigan uses to go through and evaluate custody and parenting time. And they will go out and kind of delineate each one of those factors and weigh them in favor of one party or the other, or they would say that they're provided equal weight to each parties. So it is a good idea for parties, whether you think your divorce is going to be amicable or not, when it comes to custody and parenting time, to at least familiarize yourself with those factors so that you're aware of what they are when people refer to them. I would always advise to try to do your best to communicate. So if you have a difficult person on the other side, whether you're still going through the process or you've already completed the process, it is certainly going to be extremely effective if you can find some way to communicate. And sometimes that means being the bigger person in the situation and putting all of the reasons why you're getting divorced aside and putting your children first and trying to have a conversation to work through things. As somebody that does this on a daily basis, I can tell you that it is certainly a much smoother process when it comes to the children if parents can learn to communicate together and co-parent efficiently. And sometimes that takes a lot of work, but overall, at the end of the day, it would be worth it. And there are programs out there to assist with that. There are options for classes on co-parenting, and there are, if you need it, there's therapy that you guys can go to as a family to help work through the process, so that at the end of the day, this person is your child's parent for the rest of their lives. And ideally, it would be great for everybody involved if you could continue to maintain at least a somewhat amicable relationship moving forward. We represent a broad range of people, mothers, fathers, everybody. We certainly have a strong compassion and understanding of what mothers go through during the divorce process, and I do think that that's what makes us stand out when it comes to assisting mothers in cases, is that we are able to walk you through that process from step one to the end, and even sometimes afterwards. There are things that come up through your process after the fact, custody questions, parenting time questions, or somebody's not following a schedule like there should be, things like that. Or if you just have questions that have come up that you didn't think of before. You know, a lot of common ones are, am I allowed to date now that my divorce is over? Yes, of course you can now. Is when can you bring that person around your children? That, again, is a case-by-case scenario. You know, how old are your children? How understanding are they going to be? How much, you know, there's so many things that go into that, but that is certainly something that we can walk through and discuss with you. And I do think that our experience with handling cases for mothers is what sets us aside. Please feel free to reach out if you have any further questions about this process or anything in regards to a mother's guide to divorce moving forward. You can find us on Facebook at the Marchese Law Firm, and you can also check us out on our website.